Hey guys, how's it going? It's really good to be here today. It's Friday. I hope you're having a lovely day so far. So, I was thinking, I talk a lot about asking better questions and how I can manage my thoughts and my minds to have a happier, better life. And it's interesting, even when there's things that I want to do, like these videos, any kind of commitment, at some point there is going to be a time where I'm like, oh, I have to do that thing. Whether it's school, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, a creative project, there always comes this moment where even when you really truly love doing the thing, it's like you got to test your commitment a little bit and it feels like, oh, I don't want to do that thing. I don't feel like it. So I've been trying to get past that because, for me, a commitment is like, well, I'm fucking doing it anyways. So I can either suffer through it by saying things like, oh, I have to do that, or I can ask myself better questions and figure out a way to make it fun. And that's what I asked. Like, so today it was time to make the video, and I had that moment of like, oh, I gotta make the video because I don't know what the fuck to talk about sometimes. And it's one of those things, once I start doing it, it's way more gratifying to see like the daily videos accruing and being committed and sticking to this project, whatever it might mean to folks. It feels like a good thing to do right now. But yeah, there's always that silly moment where it's like, I don't want to. So I asked the question today, and this is a great question for anything that's troubling you, is to go, how might I make this blank? So for this video, I was like, how might I making these videos fun? And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, well, I could just talk about shit that I thought was fun this last week, and maybe it'll be a Friday theme. If it's not too cheesy, if you'll forgive me, could we have fun Fridays? I don't know. I'll try to think of something more clever. But I just decided to make a list of stuff that brought me joy over the week, and I'll just share it with you, and that will be the video today, and that feels fun to do because I like sharing awesome things with y'all. So, first on my list is just asking those better questions. It makes life so much more fun instead of being like, oh, I have to do this thing. It's like, how can I make this an adventure? How could I make this awesome? How could I learn something from this? Those kind of questions get your brain sparked in a different way that feels way better. I've been exploring a lot of new music with my Spotify account. I love Spotify. I had a different music service before and it went away. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I didn't know anything about Spotify, and I went ahead and went for it, and I love it, and I'm exploring and having a lot of fun with music again. And I remembered I hadn't listened to this band Together Pangea in a long time, and their song off of the album Battle Axe called River is so good. And the chorus is like, looking at the river because the river can run, looking at the river because the river can run. And I love it, and I love riding my bike to it. I love riding my bike by the river while listening to that song. Which brings me to my other fun thing, has been training for my bike tour and just getting on my bike and getting out. Here in Denver, we have awesome bike trails. I mean, in Colorado, right? And I I love my bike. I have a single speed bike that I named Lucky, and she's amazing, and we're going everywhere together, or at least 7 miles out and 7 miles back, because I'm just practicing being in the saddle longer. So I'm training every other day to be an hour on my bike and just banging it out to great music. And it really made me have a lot more gratitude and appreciation for my body. And that's another thing that's really fun, is to let go of the bullshit and hangups that you might have been told is wrong. All the things that we are told is wrong with our body. And most of us are engaged most of our lives just in this war, hating some part of ourselves. Even if we feel like we have a pretty good relationship, I bet if we look, we can find this one area where we're like, oh, I'm hiding that. Or, I see it in the mirror and I go, ugh, fuck that. And I'm really having a good time just letting that shit go. And a good way to let that go, it's not like pretend that conditioning doesn't exist. It's not so easy as like, just don't hate your body anymore. Done. It really is about focusing on what you do love. And when I'm on my bike, I'm just so grateful. Like, there are people in wheelchairs and they don't get to ride a bike around like I do. And so I'm really trying to just appreciate, like, right now I'm temporarily able-bodied and I'm crushing it, and I love going fast, and I love feeling my muscles sore afterwards, and I love feeling them working when I'm out there, and I love where my bike and I can go. Just these beautiful spots that just unfold in front of us, by the river, by the creek, over bridges, seeing sunsets, seeing the city from a different angle, stumbling across awesome statues. We're getting a meow wolf and they're building it, and I can see that. I can go behind the amusement park and just see amazing things. The geese are still having babies and taking them into the high grass to feed, and it's a really good time. And so it's really hard to hate my body when I'm just really celebrating it and reveling in what it can do, and just being sweaty and fast and strong is really awesome. So I've been really falling in love with bike riding again. What else do I love? Oh, I love irises. Iri? Lots of those flowers that are irises. And I love them because it seems like every color smells different. I remember my stepmom used to grow purple iris that smelled like bubblegum, grape bubblegum. And they're just so, like, they remind me of fancy, eccentric, proper old-timey women, like with big hats and petticoats. Like they're the flowers that come out in these big tri-folds of ruffles, and they often have like these yellow caterpillar pieces in the middle, and they're just so big and ruffly and fancy, and I love smelling them, and I love seeing them, and so that's been fun. Ooh, and then my version of a chore wheel has actually been fun. So I'm not a housekeeper. I don't get the point. I don't enjoy it, or I haven't in the past, and I've resisted it, and consequently have often lived in some form, a level of filth in the past, right? So I'm working on it, because our surroundings reflect our inner world, and when my surroundings look good, I feel better, and I have more fun, and I can be more creative and things like that. So I have found value in learning to be a good housekeeper, but I had to do it on my terms. Like, I'm not the kind that's going to spend all day Saturday dusting and vacuuming. But I do take that tidbit of advice that I shared about just do one thing. That's really helpful. And so I wrote down all the chores that need to be done in my house. Like, at some point I want to dust. I want to vacuum. I want to detail the stove. I need to make sure the surfaces are scrubbed down really well and thoroughly once in a while. I need to make sure that I'm not just doing laundry, but I'm also washing my linens and towels and things that you don't wash every week necessarily, but maybe every other week. Wash the windows, wash the mirrors, just any kind of chore, right? And I write them on a slip of paper, and then I put them in a little envelope, and then I shake that up every day, and I pull one out. And then it's so easy to just do one thing for 15 minutes. So today I'm scrubbing the floors, and it's no big deal, and I put on a podcast, and it's great. And in that way, I find that everything is staying pretty consistently tidy, much tidier and happier than it's ever been. So that's been fun. And you can do that with lots of things. I love having a jar or an envelope of papers. I used to have art making ideas in there, so if I just wanted to be creative but I didn't know exactly what to make, I could just pull in there and be like, oh, draw this thing. Or I'll share another video about that whole thing just as it relates to art, because that's a fun game. And then speaking of art for art's sake, and I say this because as someone who's making a living with my art and striving for that, oftentimes when I make time for art, it's like work. It's like I have to make this sketch for this person's mural, or I have to get this thing done that I'm working on. And so just taking time to just moodle around with your creative supplies and just make whatever the hell you feel like making is really valuable and important, and I want to try make an effort to do that more, and it's fun. So I hope you had fun watching this video, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.